So at that time, who's coaching when you arrive at Chiefs?
Ernest Mendindo.
And how was it like working with Ernest Mendindo?
Yo! The late Stefan Gobese, may his soul continue to rest in peace. He came across as well, said, gents, manje sesayina amakhetla manje. Bona indeva ingakanani. Oh, I was like, name Kaizer, I will relate how did I get the name. And I remember my first tackle, I took Thabo Mweki all the way. You know, I put him down, my brother, and everyone was amazed that there's a new guy. He does this to one of the biggest.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Let me take this opportunity to thank you for always watching Game Time Podcast. But hey, look, we'll put something, fella, very quick. I know Rela Shebella and all that, but Rakopa, please, just like, click the notification button, subscribe, and comment so that we see your little thing, so that we can make means to see that the podcast is doing the most. Let's invite more and more guests into the podcast. Listen, sports is ngata fela, re batla ba bitsa kaofela, and it's only through you. But we appreciate you watching. We appreciate your support. Bon, enjoy the next episode of Game Time Podcast. Ayoba. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Majidana Bongwana, welcome to it, Game Time Podcast. Yes, our first episode that we shoot in 2025. A year that promises to be a great year, and I hope it's going to be a great year to you too. But listen here. I want to tell you a story about the guest that we have today, because it's quite an exciting story for me. As a kid growing up, right, my mom used to play Mochina, right? So when you got to Chiefs, my mom asked me, what's the number that you're going to bet today? She gives me $10. She's like, you betting today? I'm like, damn, what's the number? And I go past by somebody rocking jersey number 33, written Mototo in the back. And I'm like, this is the number I'm going with. And I played that number, and guess what happened later that day? I won. So this means that 2025 is going to be a great year for the podcast. Hotman, Tiger, Ditheko Mototo, a man that graced Bloemfontein Young Tigers, Bloemfontein Celtics, Kaizer Chiefs, Vasco Da Gama, I think at some point. Was that on loan? I think. But you'll tell us. You are here. Definitely. Finally, let me take this time and welcome you to Game Time Podcast. We are honored to have you.
Yo, my brother, I don't know where to start. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor for me to be part of this podcast. Thank you so much.
Look, just from a conversational point of view, I was thinking the other day about South African football. Kere, you know, finally, Zakaya again in South African football, Wabanabo Betway, they came, you know, 900 million, you know, close to $1 billion is a lot of money for a contract in 3 seasons. That is really, it's a rare thing in African football. And for us as South Africa, we are very lucky. But the biggest question that I was asking myself was the quality of football. According to you as a legend in South African football and as a coach, do you think the quality is growing, or we are still at the same place, or we just have too many views now and a bigger pool of players to choose from?
Yeah, on that perspective, I mean, I'm also a professional coach. It would be nice to be talking about my colleagues in a bad way, but let's rather say, let's focus on the football itself. Yeah, there's man in football in today's game, and we must also give credit where it's due. I think the president of CAF, Mr. Motsepe, he has done a lot. You know, he has put more money into the game. And the game has evolved as well. There are teams that I feel that they are still failing to impose their style of play. There could be a number of reasons why they can't play their normal football. But I'm happy with new developments in our game, particularly in the PSL, and how now the bosses have given South Africans more opportunities to showcase their talent. I think it's a matter of time, but there's growth, there's development in our football. So we've got to be patient. Change does not happen overnight. It takes time. But there's more into our game. There is more understanding of the players, the youngsters that are taking over. It's no longer about those that have been in the game for quite some time. These youngsters now, you look at Kaizer Chiefs, how many of them that are playing regularly? Of which is good for our player identification to see to it. We are giving these youngsters an opportunity to showcase their talent.
Talking about that, Kore, you just make me think of also the coaches from South Africa getting opportunity outside of South Africa. We can talk about Morena Ramorebudi, Coach Pito, as well as Rulani. I think Fartley as well, somewhere in Africa. This means it's good for South African football. But let's not dwell into that too much. And the whole purpose of this conversation is just to get to know Ditheko Mototo and his journey in football. Where did your football journey start for you? Many times we'll read through newspapers, we'll hear from people to say, a newspaper would say, Google would say, you started so. But it's always nice to hear it from the person we talking about. Yeah,
my brother, I think just like any other boy out there in the streets, I started playing like any other child, I think the background sometimes pushes you. I used to sell fruits and vegetables in the streets. I think I was not privileged like any other kid. We had more time to play, and circumstances, of course, pushed me, to say, look, how can I make changes? Because it was very clear from an early age that I might not further my studies even further due to affordability. And then I decided to pursue football. And I can tell you can escape through sports in this game. And I was fortunate enough, while I was doing matric, I started playing. I was identified by Mr. Hwarai. I played for Bloemfontein Tigers. And I started to earn while I was still at school. So I started to take care of myself. I started to make the difference at home. I then realized if I can persuade this career and work hard, I can actually become a better person out there. And indeed, it happened. I remember one day, I remember I went to initiation school. When I came back, I was fat. And at that time, I think Bloemfontein Tigers had already signed Bloem Celtics from Bloem Celtics and Motlaping as well. So as I got back to the team, I never had a position. And many peers said to me, your time is over. We have recruited quality players. They've taken over your position. We don't think you can make it in this team. I said to them, it's a matter of time because I believed in myself. I worked hard in that season, and it only took 6 months for me to sign with Kaizer Chiefs. And funny enough, I remember...
So you signed with Kaizer Chiefs from Bloemfontein Tigers straight to Kaizer Chiefs?
Correct.
Okay.
I remember when I broke news to my parents to say, look, I would be leaving on Monday, attending trials in Johannesburg. They were like, no, you must be joking. I said, look, I'm going there and I'm not coming back. They said, no, man, you're joking. It can never be, it can never happen. I mean, Kaizer Chiefs is a big team. I said, I'm not coming back. And indeed, I went and I only spent 4 days there. 4 days.
So how did that move come about? I mean, you play in Bloemfontein Tigers and then you go for trials. Were you called in to come for trials, or maybe you had an agent at the time that said, look, let's try this move, let's see if it would work? What was the process of you getting that opportunity to trial at Chiefs?
My brother, with God, everything is possible. I've seen God. I've seen God in my life. I will tell you why I'm saying that. we had too many players at Bloemfontein Young Tigers. And I was one of the best players, you know. And I was doing pretty well. But there were many players left before me. Some joined Orlando Pirates, some joined Free State Stars. But I kept asking myself, when is this opportunity going to come? You know? So when it came, it was after the training session when the owner of the club, Mr. Khwarei, called me aside and said to me, look, I've arranged a trial for you for a period of 2 weeks at Kaizer Chiefs. And for me, I was not shocked for that.
Yeah.
I thought I deserved it. Maybe it was a matter of time. Maybe God responded. And I said to him, I'm more than ready. And we left on Monday. The rest is history.
Look, I want our conversation to make a lot of sense to a lot of people, right? And when I thought about my interview with you, I looked at it as an interview that would be more motivational than anything.
Yes.
When it comes to the world of football, particularly for youngsters that are still pursuing this career and hoping to be, you know, in the PSL or anywhere else they think they should be, right? You spoke about you playing when you were doing matric. Which school was that? I mean, there are people that don't even know where did you school, you know, and what town was that? What city was that?
Yes,
you know?
No, I get you.
Yeah.
No, my brother, I come from humble beginnings. I come from Botshabelo. I started school at primary school by the name of Mpolokeng. Then moved to secondary, Tato. And then I went to Horatutu as well. And all these schools, I was still playing the game. I played all divisions. And I did pretty well as well. But like I said to you, you know, the background can channel you. It was never my intention to focus on football. I wanted to further my studies beyond matric, but I couldn't, you know, due to unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I realized with God, if you put trust in him and if you believe in him, he does make things happen. And I still say to myself, I could not have made it had I not had God by my side. And all the things that I've achieved, it was simply because of grace.
Yeah.
Not that I was the most talented player, but I had God by my side. So I did not walk alone.
Yeah. You know, I like the fact that you're also talking about God. A lot of people might not know, but some would know. I think our peers, my peers would know at the time we were listening to Shondi Horo.
Yes.
And you used to feature there. Hey, So when you talk about God, those that know will know that Ganiti, you are talking about this. But let's get to the Kaizer Chiefs part. You played as a left back, right?
Correct.
When you get to Kaizer Chiefs, who was playing left back at the time? What was the competition like? You get there, and now you have to fight for your place. This is no longer Bloemfontein Young Tigers. Kimakosi, the Glamour Boys, hey, Pefeni Boys, Naturena. Now it's happening. The dream has come true.
You're taking me through the memory lane. Eh? I would say it was never easy. I remember when I got the first training session, I had Puma soccer boots. Then Kaizer Chiefs was sponsored by Nike. Then Bobby Montagún came across and saw my boots. Said, like, hey, we don't use such things here. What's happening? Hey, just give him a new soccer boot. Of which they did. But the boot that they gave it to me, when I look around, man, that was just an ugly boot, man. I was like, okay, it's okay. And it was so big as well. Then I asked the guy that I didn't even know his name. I said, my brother, no, this is so good. I said, hey, this is Joburg. I'm like, I'm already being intimidated here. But just to cut the story short, then we went into the field of play. I remember Cyril Nzama came across. And then the late Skaran Gobese, may his soul continue to rest in peace. He came across as well, said, gents, manje sesayina amakhehla manje. Bona indeva ingakanani. No, I was like, yeah, man. Then I said, okay, wow. But I felt them, to be honest. You know, I was intimidated. You see John Chus Mushweu, the late John Chus Mushweu, Patrick Mabedi. I mean, I was amongst the best.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I came across great players,
What year was that? 2005, 2006?
2004.
2004,
yes. And remember, they won, they did well the previous season. Yeah, I am and amongst the best. Then the first training session started. The name Tiger, I will relate how did I get the name. And I remember my first tackle, I took Thabo Mweki all the way, I put him down, my brother, and everyone was amazed that there's a new guy. He does this to one of the biggest names in the team back then, and I wasn't laughing, and I think the coach lacked the character there and there because it was not a malicious tackle, but it was more of sending a message to those that had doubts over this guy to say, here I am. I'm here to serve the club and do what I know best, which is to play football. And I think from day one, already, I was accommodated by my teammates, realizing that, no, this boy actually, he respects the game, but he works hard at the very same time. So that opportunity opened many doors for me. And I'll forever be grateful for what Kaizer Chiefs did. And that really changed a lot of things, particularly at home where I came from. Because then I think we're still living in a RDP, a government house, something that I always say to myself, we're privileged enough to have experienced what is it to be part of the community, because we also benefited from that.
Yeah.
And as I engage with my career going forward, I manage also through Kaizer Chiefs, because I've won some incentives as well. I was able to build a beautiful house for my parents, whereby we now had a shelter that it was big enough to accommodate everyone. So I would say it's such opportunities in life that you don't take them for granted.
Most definitely.
No matter how it came to you, the most important, it came and you make use of it. And through that, there's a lot that I've done, and I'll forever be grateful for the opportunity.
So at that time, who's coaching when you arrive at Chiefs?
Ernest Menendo.
And how was it like working with Ernst Menendo? I think Ernst was the last coach at Chiefs to be close to winning the league.
Correct.
He actually lost it on the last day.
Correct.
Yeah.
What a coach. Knowledgeable, work ethic amazing. It was never easy. I could not start with the season. Of course, I came very late after the preseason, but it took time for me to adjust and adapt to how you wanted to do things from the tactical point of view. But I was willing to learn, and he gave me a rare opportunity. And I think from day one, I never looked back. I responded well. He appreciated what I've given him as a coach. So he was one of the coaches that was very disciplined when it comes to tactical aspect of the game. And you must also remember, I think it was his first season then. He was something else. You could see his antics on the bench. He did not take anything from the players. He demanded more from us. And we gave our all. And remember, in my first season, we won a cup. And I also won an individual award, Discovery of the Year, through his teachings. And like I always say, each and every person that gets to give you the opportunity, you've got to appreciate that.
Most definitely.
And when it's given to you, make sure that you give it to the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to make the first 11, like to get your first playing opportunity at Kaizer Chiefs? Remember you say you got there and then it took a bit of time because you didn't do preseason, but you definitely got your opportunity. How long did it take you whilst you were there? A month, 2 months, 3 months?
Just before I answer your question, it's what I think we lack as human beings. You have to induct people. It's like here in your stable. If tomorrow there's someone that is coming to your stable, whether it's a photographer or a video analyst, whatever the case it might be, you have to teach people so that they can be able to perform at its best. Because the environment itself, it might be intimidating.
Yeah.
Like it happened with me at Chiefs. So I think what they did best was to allow me to be myself.
Yeah.
So that I don't become someone else. And that time, when it came for me to showcase my talent, I was ready to do so. Because I went through the trials, I went through training sessions, I had to adapt, When the opportunity came, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. So it came at the right time. It only took me 2 months, because during that period, I was also involved in friendly games. And I did not only participate as a left back, at some point I was playing as a holding midfielder. So it also gave me the opportunity to explore as a player. So when many opportunities availed in itself, I was able to showcase what I'm capable of. And I gave my best shot.
And then you're playing at Chiefs, right? At the time, you mentioned the likes of Skara, the likes of Thabo Moki, Shoes Moshweu, Cyril Nzama, Skoko,
Yeah.
one of my favorite players,
Yes.
Playing amongst those, having come from the Free State, from a personal point of view, what did it mean to you? And what was the goals at the time? Did you even have a goal to say, look, there are chances that South Africa, we might be in the World Cup in 2010? Because you're one of those people that played along, that time where the World Cup was coming.
Yo.
What was the goals like, and what was the mood like in the PSL as a whole at that time playing for Chiefs?
But that was big, man. That was huge. You can imagine coming all the way from Botshabelo. Here you are in Johannesburg. You are with Kaizer Chiefs. My brother, that was huge. You are taking me back.
I want you to go back. That's the whole purpose.
Oh, what a journey, man. What a journey. What a journey in a sense that I got to experience sharing a hotel room with Thabo Moki. And I remember one of the good nights when he said, I will sleep early, And, as you turn, you see this person is awake and is playing these video games. I remember what he said in my language. He said, hey, can you that was funny for me, You're sleeping next to the legend, and he's able to share jokes with you. What a gentleman. And I had to also experience sharing a hotel room with my former captain, Jimmy Tao, My brother, when you're playing such big teams, there are things that you do differently.
Yeah.
I remember, I for one, I've introduced Jimmy Tao how to take care of the face itself, the skin.
Yeah.
I would spend close to 45 minutes just...
Hlapa
Sefahleho, my brother.
45 minutes?
45 minutes. Yeah, you must look good. You are now with the big boys. My brother. In all honesty, if you're to meet people, the first thing that they get to see is how you look.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you have to make sure that you look good. And when you look good, you feel good. And we all say, yeah, man. The late John Shoes Moshweu, what an honor. And like you said, Cyril Nzama, a captain of my captain. What a good human being as well. So you can imagine you're coming from Botshabelo. I cannot even mention gifts that they gave it to me. A lot of them came to me and gave me some stuff. And just to make me feel at home. And I felt like I was already at home at that time. Piwe Mkonza is late as well. Hey, these guys, they're late, ne?
Most of them.
Yeah, man. May their
souls rest in
beautiful
peace.
souls rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
But they were good people as well. We don't wish people to leave this world so early, but it happens. It's part of life. It will fall at some point as well. But I had beautiful memories there.
But around that time, playing for Chiefs, ne? Any player has got one player they say, yes, this player, particularly as a defender, you're like, this player gave me a run for my money. Like, from an opponent. This guy gave me a run for my money. I'll never forget this person. Which player is that you were like, yo, today I get 10 weights?
My brother, there were too many of them. You know, Leboha Mokwena, Dugu
Cheese
Makanya.
boy.
Yeah. You would know, funny enough, back in the days, let's say you are playing over the weekend. If I were to go to a mall, then I come across Sokala Duma. You know that that newspaper.
Yeah.
Then you see these guys in front of the front page. What do you then do? I will just walk away. Try to not to look at that paper because I would be reminded, what is this player going to do over the weekend? You know. Unfortunate for me, one aspect that I think helped me a lot. The wife that I am with now, we're still dating then. And yes.
Yeah.
And she understood me.
Yeah.
You know, there were moments whereby she would understand that we can't play this week simply because I must be there. She must be there in spirit. Though all the energy levels must be taken care of.
Yeah.
You know. So she's also a woman that I think played a key role in relation to deal with these guys that we've just mentioned. Siwahla, I remember one day, Siwahla was also with Ajax Cape Town.
Yeah.
And they were also playing, I think they were with under 23. I remember one of the good days, Itumele Nkune gave me a call. I was at home. It was on Wednesday because we were playing over the weekend. As I was receiving the call, you can imagine who was on the call on the other side. I was expecting Itumele Nkune. So I said to me, days at weekend. Days and days.
Yeah.
You know? So, of course, that on its own took a little bit of confidence away from me because I knew his capabilities as well. But what I loved and enjoyed most was to know what to expect over the weekend and what I had to do during the course of the week. I had to be disciplined enough. I had to make sure that I'm ready for the game that is coming over the weekend.
But you mentioned 3, right? You mentioned Dugu Dugu. You mentioned
Unless I forgotten someone that you like.
No. I'm not saying I forgot someone. I want it to come from you.
Yes.
You mentioned Siwahla, Dugu Dugu, and Leboha Mokoena.
Yes.
But one has to stand out. I don't want 3. I want one that would say, hey, this guy used to be a pro player.
Dugu Dugu was something else. He was something else. The most talented player. You couldn't.
Yeah,
you couldn't. And I think I did my utmost best.
Yeah.
I was a tiger, my brother. I was something else, man. I think, but it was a good game. Whenever I came across him, he was the most skillful player that I've ever come across. And he did his best, you know. But at the end of the day, football was the winner.
And I like the fact that you touched on Leboha Mokoena and Dugu Dugu, because I just want to touch one big, event that happens in South Africa. February, it's coming, the Soweto Derby.
Yeah.
Take us through the feeling of the Soweto Derby, particularly your first Soweto Derby. I can tell you, you can imagine from us as people that cover the game. You are sitting there in the media room. And when you get there for the first time, it's such an overwhelming thing. You're like, yes, here's my PSL accreditation. And here are these players. You get to interview them. They're walking around. You get an opportunity to just walk through the tunnel and you see them. But for a player, it's really something else to be in the tunnel. I can imagine, the atmosphere and at FNB Stadium. You know that feeling, ya vuvuzela. And you get it from a fully packed stadium. And there you are, all the way from Botshabelo, and that tunnel, FNB Stadium. You're about to come out. Dugu dugu kiona lena. Cheese boy kiona. You're going to work that day. The feeling, Jay. Take us to your first Soweto Derby.
Amazing. Amazing. You know, as you walk out on that tunnel into the stadium, just doing warm-up, just to take a slow jog. the atmosphere of the supporters, the vuvuzelas, you know, you just feel like, is it me?
Yeah.
You know, you go through emotions, you go to a zone immediately, say, God is amazing, you know. And as you go through your paces, preparing for the match as well, let alone just doing the warm-up, but being on the starting lineup itself, knowing exactly that how many people are watching these games and how many are there to witness the talent that is there for both teams to display. And when the whistle went by, when I got the first touch, I said, bring it on. And I remember I even created a goal on that game. And it was unfortunate for me. I had to pull out an hamstring and I could not finish the game. But we won the game 1-0. I, for one, I played a beautiful tailing cross to David Oboa, who put the ball in the back of the net. And that moment, it will forever stay with me, simply because it was my first derby and we could not lose, but we won the game. I also contributed to the goal as well. And the calls, man.
Yeah.
Jens.
After the game.
Jens, no. The calls, man.
Yeah.
But the call that made a lot of sense to me was my father's call.
Yeah.
Because he was a Buccaneer himself. He could not take sides.
Yeah.
He said, son, I'm very proud of you. That call, to be honest, on that particular day, it made me feel good, you know, that I've done something, that I put a beautiful smile to my parents.
You touched on calls, right? Before I go to the calls, before the game, where I know there are bonuses in football, and you'll hear players saying, hey, we can't lose this game. Was that a culture at Chiefs at the time to say, or messaging from the management?
I'll share a story to you just before that. When you talk about incentives at Chiefs, come on, man. You know, there were times where you could not touch your salary because of what happens before your salary. I remember we used to have soccer challenge. Was it Vodacom challenge where you would play against Man United? You know.
Oh yeah. It was Vodacom.
You would play about 3 games, and at that time, you would get between 90K. One game would be appearance fee.
Yeah.
It would be 30,000. The next one would be still 30. If you are likely to get to the final, you still get 30. You have not even started to play official league games. You are still in the preseason stages. You know, that was a lot of money. And to be honest, we've made mistakes. Like any other child, whereby you are now exposed to such amounts, things that we are not used to, you know. And truth be told, Kaizer Chiefs does look after its own employees. Yeah, very well, my brother, without a doubt. And I enjoyed myself, you know.
Yeah, but we were going somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, where I was going.
We're not training before. Like game more.
You know, derby is something else at Kaizer Chiefs. You have to win at all costs. You have to win at all costs. And from day one, since I was engaged to such high-profile games, I never lost a derby while I was playing Kaizer Chiefs.
Sure.
In 3 years. Yes. You
never
can go
lost.
and check your stats. I never lost against Orlando Pirates.
So you won all games against Orlando Pirates?
Either we drew or we won.
That's interesting. You must go back and teach those boys how to best do it. Really, you must go back and teach those boys how to best do it. But taking it from there, right? At the time, you spoke about calls. The attention was too much. You'll hear players that played Bojomo and all these other clubs to say, when we were playing Chiefs, hey, Alka winner, we double the incentive. And when on the other side, you're talking about getting incentives that let you not even touching, your salary at the end of the month. But attention at the time le diphoso tse ne di etsa as players at the time. E ne le tse jwang? I mean, we can't make it look like everything was perfect. We know hore diphoso ne di teng.
But let us be honest. A game of football, we must understand there are only two principles. It's when the team is with the ball and without the ball. And there comes a coach with his own philosophy, with identity of the club as well. And at some point, we are bound to lose games, but of course, not intentionally so. And we are not even perfect as well. We did our utmost best. But at Chiefs back then, it was difficult to lose 2 games in a month. You know, it was difficult. Maybe if we were to lose a game, it would have been 1, but the rest of the game would have won them, you know. Maybe it was simply because of the unity amongst the players. Because I won't even say talent, because talent is never enough, you know. I think we were unified and we were working together. And also, it was a mix of experience and the younger ones. And those guys, they knew how to lead. You know, we were led by great, great players. So it was easy for whoever that came in at that time to perform at its best. So I wouldn't want to compare the current with the old, because I would be unfair to these guys, simply because we need to support them. It's a new generation. A game has evolved a lot. There's a lot that is happening in the game. There's more science into the game, you know. So we need to allow them time and space, so that they can be able to get to their level best. And with what they've done so far, signs are there, but are we patient enough? You know, like I always say, with the current players, they are more fragile. With us, we would have a coach that would swear at you, we wouldn't take that personal. But with the current players, it's difficult to deal with them because they come from a different generation. There's a lot that needs to be taken into consideration. You know, we need to profile them. We need to know their backgrounds. Where is this boy coming from? Because some, they might come from good families, you know, whereby football is just a hobby to him, but he just loves the game. So we need to incorporate these things all together so that we can be able to get the best out of them. I still believe that there's more that we can still offer. Talent-wise, this day. So I would just wish that we give them enough support.
Let's move from Kaizer Chiefs now. You have to leave Kaizer Chiefs.
Yes.
You come back to Bloemfontein Celtic at home. How did that move come about, and what was happening at the time that you had to leave Kaizer Chiefs to come back to Bloem?
You know, back then, my father was not feeling well at home. You know, I would drive at night from Johannesburg to Bloemfontein. You know, I remember one day, I nearly got an accident because I was sleeping on the road, you know. I then realized, no, this thing, it will catch up with me. You know, I must make a decision because I was very close to my father, you know. Then I would come here. You know, I knew that I was not a doctor, but sometimes just being there, you would give someone confidence. You give someone something to say, look, you care so much about him. And then I remember my contract was coming to an end. And at that particular moment, we were still discussing a renewal with Kaizer Chiefs. And age was also catching up with me. I had a house that side, but I had to make a decision to say, where do I want to live after football? Where do I want to be with this family? And Bloemfontein was a place for me. And coming down to Bloemfontein Celtic, the ideal was, let me come here and get a shelter for my family and settle in Bloemfontein. Maybe after 2 years, I can go back and persuade other avenues as well. But unfortunately, it was never meant to be. But on the other side, I did achieve other things that I wanted to achieve. Then I came back to Bloemfontein and I played 2 seasons. From there, I went to Vasco Da Gama, you know. Then after Vasco Da Gama, I got a second born, you know, and I then said, it's time to take care of my family and be a present father. Because I love my family, you know. So I took a decision and say, let it be. I've run my race.
What made it easy for you to say, look, let me just hang the boots after Vasco da Gama, knowing very well the challenges that comes with a lot of footballers, particularly financially. The financial challenges for footballers is always one thing that stands out more than anything. You spoke about getting a lot of money then, but you find at the end of the career, The money got wasted. And funny enough, you're one of those, not even funny enough, lucky enough, you're one of those players we've never seen in the papers to hear that you don't have money, the house is getting sold, the car is being repossessed. It shows that you had a good financial management, if I may put it that way, to even make a decision to say,
not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
There are so many stories that I think they are untold stories.
Yeah.
The mere fact that we say nothing about you, it doesn't mean that you don't have problems. Maybe I've been fortunate enough whereby my mistakes have not been put out there for public to see. I have done a lot of mistakes that I'm not proud of, but I take accountability and say, those were legit mistakes. I didn't know, and I've accepted that. But again, I have married well. And then I've been blessed with a good wife, I always say to myself, had I not been married to this woman, where would I have been with the carelessness that I have been over the years, And she has looked after the family very well. She's continuing to do that. And it's through grace and blessings as well, because they are together. And then that's why you are saying what you are saying now. Like they always say, behind any successful man, there's always a woman. I might not be rich, but I'm rich at heart. Simply because my heart is pure. And I have surrounded myself with good people that have been able to lend a hand when there's a need to do so. It's something that I urge our brothers to look after our fellow brothers as well. We should not go out there and show how others are not doing so well in this life. If we can learn what you call Ubuntu and practice that, your flaws are my flaws. You are my brother, I am your brother, So I always say to those that I'm close to, look after the next person. He will also look after the next person. And that particular person will also do the same thing. And as a result, we'll also be able to say we are brothers. And simply because we love one another. So I've been fortunate as well.
So when you made that decision, it was not even about the finances or anything. You were just saying, look, it's time for me to look after my family, and that's it. I'm calling it quits with football.
Not that I had already accumulated more funds, not to think on the financial aspects, but life itself. Money cannot define how we should live this life. We must be happy. We must also be able to say, we trust you, God. Because you don't just take another journey without informing him. I have said to myself, God, I have done it enough. Now is the day for me to go back and rebuild myself. Because actually, a life of a footballer starts immediately after he retires from football. So I came across so many challenges. But here I am, I'm still standing.
But when you made that decision, were there offers? Like, were there teams that were saying...
I was not even looking. Offers are something else. I was not even looking. I was not even looking. I was very clear from the word go that I'm venturing to a new position. I started to coach at a young age. I remember those players that were playing the PSL, I used to bring them together and coach them during off-season. And I remember Abraham Mte was also playing at the time. He's now a coach. I also brought him in. I was coaching him. Then I said to him one day, you have to let go of this game. Let us help these up-and-coming youngsters so that we prepare them. When they went back to their teams, they would have been able to cope, with training sessions. Because if you come from off-season, when these boys are here, they are drinking, Boma Bebeza, they are here as well, they're having fun, so normally the first 2 weeks is very difficult. So we managed to close that gap so that they can be able to start well in their teams.
And then you went on into coaching, right?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, Your first coaching was it Bloemfontein Colts,
Bloemfontein Young Tigers.
Young Tigers?
Yeah, Bloemfontein Young Tigers. Yes.
Starting to coach, what was the goal at the time, and is that goal, is everything that you planned at the time coming to what you've always wanted?
Yeah, because I was coached by good coaches, but I felt that they lacked one aspect, man. Man management, knowing who is this player, apart from the performance, because we come from different backgrounds, you know. The reason that I persuaded this career was to bridge the gap, knowing this kind of a player and understanding and profiling players. Before I could even play him, I had to understand that where is this boy coming from? You know, how is the background at home? Because you get to meet someone who's coming to a training session on daily basis. This boy might not have eaten nothing. Then your expectation is for this boy to give his best. But where and how is going to be able to cope if the stomach is empty? Because some of the training session, the demand is too high for a player to give maximum performance, you know? So that gave me the courage. And I'm very proud of myself. For those that I've coached, you can name just few players. Kabelo Dlamini, Neo Mayema, this boy Mabasa as well. I had an opportunity to be part and parcel of their journey in football. So those are the guys that when we have time to talk, we talk about the past and what is happening presently and what they've learned over the years, how that has impacted their performances going forward as well. So that gives you courage to say, I might have done this and that and that, but look at these boys now. They are able to perform at the highest level simply because of what we did. As we're not fortunate enough to have a coach, just to ask you, how are you? You know how important is that? Very important.
So you moved from, I think at some point you moved from from Tigers you went to Bloemfontein.
Bloemfontein Celtic, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you got an opportunity to also coach with the first team at Celtic?
Yes, correct. But just before then, remember, there's DDC. The team that we took. We must say these things. How?
Yeah, no, say them. We want them. That's why you are here.
We must say them.
That's why you are here.
Yes. Yeah. We won the championship and we went to London.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot.
Who was in the team at the time, like the players that you were coaching?
We had Shatra Kobedi, we had Sipo Chaine, we had Tserfaso Mabaza, we also had Neo Mayema, Kabelo Tlamini, many of them, you know. That opportunity opened so many doors for these boys because immediately after that, many of them got promoted to the first team, you know. And I think even myself gave me the opportunity to be seen, to be recognized, you know. And I was also given the opportunity to serve in the first team. And I was able to reach the finals of Nedbank Cup through the senior team. I was able also to reach the finals of MTN8. But I've done well, Bafia. Yeah. So, like I said to you, I'm a winner.
Yeah.
I've won as a player. I continue to win as a coach.
Yeah.
You know, and the future is bright. And where I'm at the present moment, and I think each and everything is falling into place because I had a 10-year plan. I have said to myself, look, I would gain experience through coaching, but there will be a time where I would have to stop and go for licenses. I'm now doing that.
Yeah, but we must also talk about Morocco Solos. You were there.
I was at Morocco Solos.
Yeah, you were there.
I was at Royal AM.
You were at Royal AM.
Marisburg United.
Hey. But what was that journey like? You know, the coaching journey is different from that of being a player. You can be sacked like today. Like you can be hired today and tomorrow you're sacked.
Correct.
Yeah, how was that like?
And the mere fact that I've been serving as an assistant coach. So it means that some of the decisions, they are beyond me. Because normally when they sack a coach, he goes with
the technical team. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in other words, I have limitations as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
I cannot impose myself because I'm serving under someone. But nevertheless, it has been a great experience for me because I have been with different clubs. There's what you call cultural behavior. I've learned, you know, and it's such experiences that teaches you to be humble.
Which are those coaches that you served under?
I've served under Coach Ernest Medindop at Bloem Celtics. I've also served under Coach Lassin. I've also served under Coach John Maduka. I've also served twice under Coach Steve Kompela. Why am I making noise when I'm talking about Steve Kompela?
No, just go up, Papa. You can't. No, just go up.
But his work ethic, and Ubuntu, like I said, you know, I've learned a lot from the gentleman, actually from everyone as well. So yeah, those are Coach Siema as well. And my last job, I was serving under a very, very humble human being, Ditheko, you know, what a gentleman. What a gentleman. I got a call while I was seated here at home. Come on, let us work. And funny enough, I never went for interviews. I was just called to come and work. I am blessed. That's what I'm saying. God has been amazing in my life. I've never went to interviews. I've just been called to come and serve. And I've served well. I've served well.
Look, earlier we spoke about what Coach Morena is doing, what Coach Rulani is doing, Faklu, Coach Pito, you know, and with all these opportunities that coaches in South Africa are getting, because we want to keep this on record, that you said it here on Game Time Podcast today, you know, for the people to know. What would be the highest achievement for you as a coach? We know you spoke, you just told us now you've only served as an assistant coach, but what would be the biggest achievement for you as a coach? You said you had a 10-year plan, and I know you also have a career plan to say that you visualize every day in the absence of everyone to say, this is what I want at the end of my career.
Hey, Mona, I would say making sure that a black child realizes his dream when I took them to London. That was the biggest achievement of my career. Seeing tears rolling in their cheeks, seeing how emotional those boys were, and how that changed their lives after that. For me, that was one of the biggest achievements that I've achieved, let alone the finals that I've reached now. But seeing this guy persuading and realizing his dreams, that was something remarkable for me, and I'll forever be grateful for that.
So from there isn't any other thing that you say, like, this is what I want to go for?
You know, my brother, I have a son that is 18 years old now. And, you know, when you choose schools for your children, there's a reason behind. My son loves football. I have experienced a lot as a parent, whereby he was not given a fair opportunity to showcase his talent. And bearing in mind how many I've given, that I still continue to serve and make sure that I give them the opportunities. At this particular school, they were stopped to participate in football simply because they were told they were not good enough. I have personally went to the school, tried to engage with the coaches to say to them, I did not want my son to become Maradona. The reason he was at that particular school was simply because for him to participate, like any other child, when we take time to go and fetch them, but he must be able to do something in the meantime, something that he loved, which is to play the game. But he was never granted the opportunity. Now I took a break now. There's a team, I won't mention a name, but it's also a development site that I am currently assisting. I took my son there. I've brought a beautiful smile on my son. That's the only thing that I could do for those kids and my son, whereby I say, look, at the present moment, let me help my child, because the world has given my child a different response. So I am here to respond and see to it, how best can I assist this boy? So at the present moment, I'm coaching that team and my son is involved there.
Let me ask a hard question. I love that you spoke about your son. We've seen Bamuza play for his father's team. We've seen Junior, Kaizer Junior, play for his father's team. And we seeing Andile now, you know, Pepile number 10, really.
yes.
When you look at your son and you look at the standard of football in South Africa, do you see quality in him, or this is just a father wanting his son to be in a space that he's been in?
For me, for now, I am supporting his dream. And now that I'm attesting the quality in him that he has or he does not have, I would be brutally honest. For now, I don't see someone that could easily play for PSL or First Division tomorrow. But I'm giving myself some more time because I know this is not how I started. Even myself, I was not good at all. But through hard work, I managed, you know, to break the boundaries. And I was able to get a rare opportunity. So I'm giving him that benefit of the doubt to say, look, son, if that's something that you want, I'm here to support you. But I'm not going to impose myself in his dreams. I'm here to support him. But I still believe that at 2 years, if we continue doing the right things with the experience that I have as a coach, he can be able to participate at the highest level.
Yeah.
That's where we are at the present moment.
No, I like your answer because I was going to touch on the age issue, but I like the fact that you used yourself as an example because usually we don't do that. I think we're a little bit harsh in South African terms when it comes to players. We'll say, hey, look at Yamin Yamal, what he's doing at Barcelona, but we never talk about the development that he's been through from the early ages. You know, you look at the likes of Messi, you see them in videos when they were young. I was watching a documentary of one of the, who's this guy who used to rock jersey number 11? I can't believe I forgot him. In Argentina. He was playing for Argentina now. I forgot him. I can't believe I just forgot him. But you look where they come from. As early as 11 years, they were already playing and being, groomed in football. But that's hard in South Africa. If I Junior Pirates, and then next thing, I'm exposed to a Kaizer Chiefs in the PSL. And coaching is not the qualification, was taught nothing, was never under any Hotman Laka, Silim Pigzo, Arata Diski, Asilim Nad, you know. But I just happen to have the talent kick in, and then I'm in the PSL, and everything has to change.
But
I have to adapt.
Not force. I'm coach. I'm happy that you are touching on that. I think what we lack in South African football, it's a long-term player development. Understanding the age is a factor. When a child is around 6, what is it that needs to be done? Because they're just playing for fun at that age. When they get to 8 to 9, they're still trying to figure it out, what's happening. But when it gets to 9 to 12, now they're starting to train. In other words, to understand that the basic principles of the game. When they get to 16 to 18, they're now at a stage whereby they are now ready to compete to win, you know. But the coaches that are with the development side, particularly at the schools, you have coaches that are not well taught as well. They're not educated as well, so that they can give the right contact to the players. Because there are also fundamental performance factors that we need to take into consideration. The physical part of it, the technique, nutrition, psychology, being part of that. Do we pay attention to details? Of course we don't. But expect this boy to become something else. So we can't. We have to be realistic and take care of this, what I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
So if we can go back and understand what is required to develop a player, we can get it right.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, I want to work on nutrition. No one is equal at la mola. I know that like imagine papa kana matati tempain.
Hey, and what I'll call as
And we still 1 hour ago.
Why born?
Abarencham na tikera jersey number 10.
Why born?
But look, there's so much to talk about in football. But thank you so much for coming through and having a conversation with us. We appreciate what you've done for South African football and giving us hope in the Free State. I mean, The Free State is that one province that looks like there is something, but sometimes it looks like there is nothing. And then it's through people like you that we still get hope. We still get many players, going and making it. Now, particularly that Bloem Celtic is not here. But Ratse Babo Karasbaza, Magadi General, Bo Mama Sinki, we appreciate them. Ibile touching on John Obuaka and the coach. Shout out to Safa in the Free State as well. I know they're giving a lot of coaches that have, under 13s, under 15s, an opportunity to go and do their license, DC their licenses. That's pretty good from them. But bigger than anything, Ralebo Hotman for you coming through to Game Time Podcast.
And I must also give a big thank you to you and your team. And may the good Lord continue to bless you guys. You are touching too many souls. Many of us, we might not come back and say thank you, or let alone to say big ups, guys, you are doing so well. But what do we do? Subscribe. Yeah. That's the only thing that we can do.
Yeah.
So we are there. We keep supporting you guys. Continue doing well. Just in closing, maybe I must also say to these guys, abo Karas, abo Mesenki, like Uchin, these are the legends of the game. We see their work. And they are doing so much for the communities as well. And Limajita push and passion, big ups, guys. Continue. Thank you so much.
The legend has spoken. To whom much is given, much is expected, and to whom much is expected, much is required. Every champion that is a champion today was once a contender who refused to give up. I'm Pixel P, the greatest for Game Time Podcast. God willing, I'll see you next time. Ayob.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.